Go ahead.
We're gonna wait for Anika. So she's on.
Oh, one more.
Yeah, one more person. I thought she was here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to the third meeting of the Board of Trustees of the New York City Housing Preservation Trust. I am Lisa Bova-Hyatt, Chair of the Trust's Board of Trustees. As the first order of business, it is my honor to take the role of the trustees present. Please answer present or here when your name is called. Karen Blondell,
Present.
Pamela Campbell,
Present.
Baba Ham,
Present.
Anika Lescott Martinez,
Present.
Barbara McFadden,
Present.
Maria Torres Springer.
Present.
We welcome Ms. Lescott Martinez, NYCHA's CFO, to the Trust Board. Ms. Akoriji was previously serving on the Trust Board because she was NYCHA's interim CFO. Welcome, Anika. With 7 trustees present, including myself, we have a quorum. Ms. Lim shall assist me in holding and carrying out today's meeting. Ms. Lim, you may proceed with today's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 7th, 2023 board meeting.
Unless there are any questions, I move that the board adopt this resolution.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Thank you. The minutes are adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item on the agenda are the chair's remarks.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone for being here today, especially on the day before Thanksgiving. It's a great testament to everyone's commitment to NYCHA and to the work of the Trust. I'm happy to say that this will be our regularly standing meeting, the third Wednesday of every odd month. As you will see, the trust team has been working tirelessly since the last board meeting. It's an extraordinary amount of work, and it's not every day that we launch a new agency here in New York City. I'm looking very much forward to hearing about the extensive work today, including new policies, staff, and budget materials. I'm particularly excited about the trust logo, which was developed in a very resident-centric process. And it's a good example of the way in which the trust was set up to center around resident engagement. Speaking of engagement, we will also get an update for you about the Nostrand vote. I hear the process is going very well, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing more. And with that, I'd like to ask if any other board members would like to speak before we get to today's business. Anyone?
Okay, we'll record that no comments from the board members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item on the agenda is the President's report to be presented by President. Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item on the agenda is the President's report to be presented by President Vlada Kinev.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. I want to acknowledge that this is my first official President's report, and I want to again thank the board for appointing me to serve and for your trust in my abilities to build this new and important organization. My new team and I have been working to articulate and define the Trust's strategic capabilities, and throughout the board meeting, we'll demonstrate how we're structuring our new organization to roll up into these capabilities. On the resident-employee partnership, as you see on the screen, one of the Trust's values is that we put residents first in everything we do. And we're building our foundations based on strong partnerships. Procurement flexibility. The Trust's enabling legislation gives us the ability to leverage alternative delivery methods not available to NYCHA or other agencies, and capability to structure programs around this. Financial capability. The Trust as an agency can access higher Section 8 subsidies to fund renovations and operations. Preservation of the municipal workforce. The Trust has an opportunity to further NYCHA's transformation plan by improving operations after we've recapitalized public housing properties while preserving the municipal workforce. In building our new organization, we've added Jillian McLaughlin as the Trust's Chief Operating Officer. Jillian previously worked at the New York City Economic Development Corporation on real estate transactions, at NYCHA as a Deputy Chief of Staff to the Chair and CEO, and at the New York City Parks Department as the Chief of Staff before working on real estate transactions, fundraising, and marketing in the private sector. Given her experience in government and scaling operations and processes in the private sector, we are excited that she's taken on this role. Welcome, Jillian. Jillian has a Master's of Public Policy from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Since my appointment at the last board meeting, we've been working diligently to develop communications, resident engagement, scaling operations, our legal and policy development, and preparing for capital delivery. Of course, pending resident vote. More specifically, we've established bank accounts and secured insurance for the Trust to begin operations. We created a website and social media accounts to start transparent and proactive communications. We are working through the shared services agreement with NYCHA. We developed a procurement policy for board's consideration today, and you'll hear more from the General Counsel, Lisa. We also developed the operational plan and the budget, again for the board's consideration, and you will hear more from Jillian a little bit later. My team and I have participated in NYCHA-led events at Nostrand. We knocked on doors, on hundreds of doors, honestly, and called as many residents and to let them know that there's an election and there are options. We also issued a request for information to start gathering industry feedback on how to best structure our new Trust Modernization and Preservation Program. Yesterday, I held a webinar and we had 75 attendants. In a few days, we will launch a new website that will feature our vision, mission, and values as an organization, and we developed this with important voices from our residents and our board members. In my first few weeks as the president, I launched a logo design contest with the hope that our new organization's visual identity gets created with NYCHA's talent. And now we have the result. The trust board voted and selected a winner. Sharon Rose. Sharon, may I ask you to stand up?
Sharon. Great job, Sharon.
Sharon has been a NYCHA resident for 10 years and really has captured our mission beautifully. I am so proud of this logo and I'm looking forward to wearing it as a badge of honor.
Awesome.
Also, a tremendous thank you to our partner, Alex Zablocki of the Public Housing
Yes,
Community
Alex.
Fund. And this concludes my report. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much, Vlada, for your report. And we will move on to the next action items on our agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The second action item on today's agenda is the adoption of the procurement policy of the trust. I will present that item. I am honored to present the procurement policy of the trust. Procurement is the bread and butter of the trust. The procurement policy which we have developed combines the flexibility of the Trust Act with best practices. We studied the procurement policies of various public benefit corporations, quasi-governmental organizations, and best practices published by the Harvard University Kennedy School. Our policy was reviewed by several of our government colleagues in procurement. In sum, the trust can procure through three different methods. One is lowest competitive bidding. Two is best value bidding. And three are the exceptions to formal competitive bidding. Regarding lowest competitive bidding, the trust can use lowest competitive bidding through sealed bids that are publicly solicited or solicited from a list of pre-qualified bidders. Under this method, a contract is awarded to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. We expect to use this method for construction projects that require one trade with little design variation. Regarding best value bidding, the trust may award contracts based on factors other than price. The trust may also consider a vendor's past history, qualifications, legal compliance, and labor relations success, and MWBE in Section 3 business concerns. We expect to use this method on more complex capital rehabs. Regarding exceptions to formal competitive bidding, the trust can procure without a competitive process under a number of scenarios. One, when a contract is less than $50,000 or under $500,000 if procured from an MWBE. Two, when an emergency involves danger to life, safety, or property that is unforeseen and pressing. Three, when exigent circumstances arise, such as a court order, a default by a contractor, litigation. Another one is when the trust wishes to enter a contract with another governmental entity, such as NYCHA. And also when the trust determines that it is in the public interest to purchase off a existing government contract, such as the Office of General Services. And when the trust determines there's only a single source for goods or services, the trust may abstain from formal competitive bidding. And also the trust can make a determination when it begins a competitive process for bids and only receives no bids or one bid, it may abstain from competitive bidding. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any questions about the trust procurement policy? If not, I make a motion that we adopt the trust procurement policy.
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Thank you. The procurement policy of the trust is adopted. The The next item on today's agenda is the adoption of the annual budget of the trust. Ms. McLaughlin will present that item.
There's been so much clapping, so I feel a lot of pressure on this section, but
It's okay, Judy.
we're really thrilled to be talking with you about our operational plan and our goals and proposed budget for the rest of this fiscal year. We still have some time left, and for fiscal year 2024. Vlada discussed earlier our special capabilities for the trust, and so we've been engaging in a very close planning process with NYCHA to think about the programs we want to start delivering in our first full year. And so we've really crafted it into 2 programs. The first program is what we're calling the Trust Modernization and Preservation Program, which is the public analog to the PACT program, which has been, in my opinion, very successful. And so this program would give comprehensive repairs for developments that opt in, and enabled by switching from Section 9 funding to project-based Section 8 funding so that we can leverage that for the capital dollars needed to repair those developments. We're excited about that program. That workload will be dictated by residents, so we're planning for it, but we'll be waiting for the call. But our second program that we're excited to deliver is really around these alternative project delivery services. We have some of the broadest procurement capabilities in the city in both the ability to use multiple kinds of design build, which is really exciting for us, as well as to use a variety of construction manager services, which is not available to most city agencies and many other state entities. And so we would like to put that to work because there's been a lot of research that shows that those projects can save 2 to 10% in 12 to 18 months. And so we're excited to offer that outside of the preservation program to NYCHA. So those are the 2 programs that we would like to start to build out and that we have been working on building out. But it's informing our fiscal year 2023 and 2024 goals. In terms of our goals, we've really centered them into 3 different buckets. The first bucket is core operations. We've already made a lot of progress today with the adoption of the procurement policy. In order for us to advance any of these programs, we need to both have a procurement policy and a procurement process on the back end, and we'll be excited to provide some updates on that. We also need to do the basics around what's required just to be a functioning organization, which we've made a lot of progress toward to date, including securing insurance, working with NYCHA on financial controls and financial reporting, so we're grateful for that support. As Lotto mentioned, we hope early next year to be done with the shared services agreement, and that will be the administrative backbone for the trust in the short term. And then again, everything that we need to adopt contracts, including adopting a project labor agreement. The second bucket of activities and goals is really around resident engagement, economic opportunity, and transparency. We want to do not just what we are required to do, but to really make this an agency that partners closely with residents to drive decisions. So you've heard about some of that today. We are working to get content and messaging out so that it's easier for residents to participate in these programs that we plan to develop. And then the last bucket of our goals for fiscal year 2023 and 2024 is really on program design and execution for those 2 programs that I mentioned. That's not only working on the internal processes for the trust, it's also working with NYCHA on how exactly that partnership is going to work, doing engagement with industry so that we can ensure that we are attracting really high quality partners. That's important. The trust stands for quality among many other things, and that we're actually ready to put solicitations on the street. So those are our goals for fiscal year 2023 and 2024. And in order to achieve them, we're thinking about the core competencies we need in both the short, mid, and the long term. And this is informing our budget, which will be the last slide. I am getting to it. In the short term, we've been using our own internal resources as well as outside expertise on the strategy, planning, and policy, and we're really grateful to a lot of the support from our NYCHA colleagues and around the city who've been exceedingly generous with their time in trying to make sure that we're rolling in the right direction. We have legal and compliance competencies that we've been developing, as well as the beginning for resident planning and partnership, learning from the best practices, again, from our colleagues. And also in the short term, it's really important for us to have a strong construction development and project management expertise. We are a capital delivery agency, among other things, and so building out that core competency, making some key hires, that's going to be critical in the short term so that we're doing a great job for residents. And then the last piece, of course, is making sure that our financials are in order. In the midterm, as we start managing what could be hundreds of millions of dollars of capital projects, that's when we would look to bring in more robust FP&A capabilities for the trust. It doesn't make sense when you're in single digit millions, but once you start talking about that order of magnitude, we need to be ready. And then in the long term, the trust will be building out asset management and portfolio operations capabilities. We expect that by the time a development opts into the trust and the time that they convert and it gets transferred over to us will be approximately 24 months. We need to be ready ahead of that so that we can ensure that the development that residents have literally entrusted to us are compliant, that they are being kept in great physical shape, that they're high quality. And so we would be developing an asset management program and making those hires ahead of that, but we probably wouldn't do that in the midterm given the length of time. So all of this rolls up into our proposed budget for fiscal year 2023 and 2024. There is a lot to be developed in terms of the exact pipeline of projects, and that's kind of built into the DNA of the trust, which is exciting. But we are planning so that we can run if residents say it's time to go. So our budget for fiscal year 2024, we are asking for the approval of the full 7.3 million and some change. For fiscal year 2023, we expect to spend approximately $800,000. If the preservation program is a very complicated program. If no development opts into that program, we would expect to spend significantly less next year, but we would still get work done and really move fully forward on our capital projects. And so that is our proposed operational plan and budget.
Thank you, Jillian. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. Are there any questions about the proposed budget? If not, I move that the board adopt this resolution and adopt the annual budget of the trust.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, any nays or abstentions? Thank you. The annual budget of the trust is adopted. The last item on today's agenda is an information item regarding Nostrand Houses vote, which is underway. Ryan Honan, Senior Vice President of NYCHA Intergovernmental Affairs, will present this item.
Applause. It's like we're at a Knick game. Thank you so much. Thank you to the board for giving me the opportunity to present on the election, and I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all the board members a happy Thanksgiving. So what we're doing at Nostrand Houses together with the residents is the first of its kind in the country, and it really is historic. And it is a power switch in a lot of ways. For almost 90 years, the Housing Authority has made, major decisions at developments, and now we talk about partnership, but this is a true partnership in the fact that nothing can happen at Nostrand unless the residents say it will happen. And whenever you do something this enormous, and whenever you do something for the first time, it takes a whole team of people to do it. First, I want to thank the residents at Nostrand and the Residents Associations for taking this process serious, and to coming out and to really educating themselves. And also to NYCHA staff, the leadership of Mandu Singh and Courtney Hugh, Sharon Kiseka. Sorry, Sharon.
Yes.
One day
She's
okay.
such a doll. Sharon.
Mickey Rice and the entire RISP staff who have worked tirelessly on site here at Navy Church and at the development to make sure that residents are educated in the voting options, to make sure that they are enable them to make informed decisions. So as written in the state legislation, which was passed in 2022, developments cannot become part of the New York City Public Housing Preservation Trust unless they vote to enter in. The legislation gave NYCHA the ability to create voting rules, which we did in collaboration with resident leaders and advocates. The voting rules state that there will be a 100-day engagement period, 30-day voting period. The first 20 days, residents will have the opportunity to vote by mail and online only. In the last 10 days, they will also be given the additional option of voting in person. There was a third-party elections administrator that was hired, MK Elections, that oversees the mailing and counting of ballots. And the election results must have at least 20% of heads of households for a valid election. The rules also state that there must be 3 options on the ballot: the New York City Public Housing Preservation Trust, PACT, or to remain in Section 9. The engagement period must include at least 4 public meetings, and 1 must be in person and 1 must be virtual, depending on the preference of the tenant association. The focus of each meeting shall be at least one of the options, with all options covered in at least one of the scheduled meetings. Natures are responsible for scheduling the meetings, and at least one meeting, as I stated, at least one meeting must be held in person, 1 online, and in accordance with the legislation created by the rules, Nostrand Houses in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, was chosen as the first development to hold an election. On July 28th, the notice of vote was mailed to all residents who live at Nostrand Houses, and on August 1st, there was a public announcement with the mayor, Resident Leader McFadden, many leaders from Brooklyn South, the CEO of NYCHA, and the Deputy Mayor, Maria Torres Springer. And first day of voting will start, actually did start on November 8th, and first day of in-person voting will start on November 28th. The voter engagement team is on site and has an office there and works 6 days a week at Nostrand Houses. They speak with residents daily, at their homes, door to door, by phone, and in meetings. They meet with people individually, they meet with people in small groups, they meet with people in large groups. Basically, they're taking the issue to people, where they feel comfortable, and at times that they feel comfortable. So far, the voting engagement team has had individual conversations with over 81% of the residents who live in Nostrand Houses. They've had over 3,000 conversations with residents who live in the development, either in meetings by phone or in person. And residents truly understand the options that are presented to them. Just as a reminder, the total voter universe at Nostrand Houses is 1,591. The total population is 2,200. And we are really confident that we're going to have a big turnout for the residents of Nostrand, in-person voting starts on November 28th and concludes on December 7th. We'll have preliminary results soon after the voting ends, and we will have official results a few days after. While the outcome is uncertain, we already know that the residents of Nostrand have shown that they love their community by getting involved, educating themselves, and ultimately participating in a process that looks to preserve their homes. I want to thank the board, I want to thank the residents at Nostrand again, and I look forward to coming back to present the final results.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Brian. It makes me so thankful and incredibly hopeful, and especially grateful to the voter engagement team, to the residents of Nostrand for taking this process so seriously and really, really being so engaged, and of course, our board member and also the president of Nostrand Houses, to Ms. McFadden, for really leading the charge and remaining so incredibly positive and hopeful for this first trust vote. I'm not sure if anyone else has anything to add.
I just want to add one.
Sure.
So I just want to add, I want to thank everyone who is engaging with Nostrand. I know that I saw a couple of things online where things were offered through news media, and I saw the naysayers or the NIMBYs and the YIMBYs from public housing. Everybody was given a chance to speak, and I thought it was very transparent. So I thank you today for the engagement that you're doing over at Nostrand Houses. It makes me feel good for the residents. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Barbara McFadden, the resident leader at Sheepshead Bay Nostrand. And I'm mushy right now. You can see the tears are just rolling down. No one understands what this means to me. This is like historic. I'm sitting here like 40 or 50 years later, I won't be here. But my great-grandchildren, my great-nieces and nephews, like, wow, my Aunt Barbara McFadden was the first to do the voting process. This is history, this is historical, and this is something that no one can ever take from me. And I need to clap for that. And the second thing, I want to thank not only our CEO, Ms. Lisa Bova-Hyatt, but our entire board. And I especially want to give a shout out to 3 people. Just listen. Our president, Blada, she works hard. Let's clap for Blada. Julian, she just came on and snatched McFadden by the way. And the third one goes out to Brian Honig and the whole entire engagement team. And I'm even putting the legal department involved because everybody is in Nostrand House and they're grabbing. We want the resident leader, we want the residents. They want to hear it. Everybody's like, McFadden, do you know how this? I'm like, I've been doing documentaries, I've been sitting on panels. I'm like, where's the commercials? I'm ready to rock and roll. This is history in the making. I am so happy because Obama said it, change is for the better. We can't keep living and we can't keep doing things the same way. Every resident have a right to have a better quality of life. And to have this trust is a Powerball. And I'm ready. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, if not, thank you everyone for being here today. I move that this third meeting of the Board of Trustees of the New York City Housing Preservation Trust be adjourned.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I second it. And thank you, everyone.
This meeting is adjourned at 11:03. The live stream can end. If you can stay for a few minutes after the meeting, the trust president will introduce you to the winner of its logo contest. Thank you.